$1 million in prize money is on the line in the first ever head-to-head autonomous racing event to be held at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in October. UVA Engineering's Cavalier Autonomous Racing Team will compete with other top universities for bragging rights as the best autonomous racing team in the world. Buckle up as I, your host, Chris Tyree, and UVA Engineering professor Madhur Behl take you in the shop, under the hood, and around the track in this new world, pushing autonomous vehicles to their limits.
There's a saying that the purpose of teaching is twofold. It's knowledge plus it's wisdom. Knowledge is all the factual stuff that you can learn off from a book. You can forget all of that, right? So it's all the facts, everything that you can always revisit. It won't change, it may evolve. And wisdom is what's left over once you've forgotten everything. So that's my way of teaching as well. I don't necessarily obsess when I teach about facts and knowledge. They are important. Without them, you cannot learn. But my goal is to inspire students to see through why this matters, why this is so interesting on its own. Doesn't matter if it's racing or surgical robotics, just the math itself is so interesting that, I want to learn more about how to improve this. UVA, I would say, has a very strong computer science program, and one of our strengths is the excellent faculty we have. And so when you come out of this, the CS program, you are ready to take on whatever specialization you want. If you are curious about how you apply this computer science knowledge to real physical systems, like a race car, doesn't get any more physical than that, then we have now the capability of specialized courses, including the one which I teach at UVA. It's called F110 Autonomous Racing, where we have small 1/10 prototypes that we program, and we teach students how to build, drive, and race these cars. The nature of that course is using F110, the physical platform, which is, you get to learn how do you build, put things together. It's very similar to the full-scale car, just different scale. The real sort of foundation of the class is that we teach about the principles of perception, planning, and controls. Every robot out there has to do three things all the time for it to work. I don't care if it is our self-driving car right here, or is it a robot in the space or underneath the sea. And those three things are, it has to do sensing, it has to sense its surroundings, then based on that it has to do planning, and then based on the sensing and planning, it actually has to do action or control. We teach these fundamental attributes of robotics in the context of racing with the F110 class. Navigation is a canonical part of self-driving, right? To be able to figure out where to drive or how to come up with the sequence of trajectories is what planning or navigation is. So I could have jumped straight into that for my students, but I wanted to inspire them, push them towards thinking about how did we navigate in the maritime days of the early parts of our civilization. How is it that we can look at the stars and figure out where we are on the planet? And you might think, okay, this is getting too philosophical for an engineering course, but you know what? There is an algorithm which does exactly that on our race car. It looks at the LiDAR signature, it looks at the point clouds of what the track is looking at, and it's identifying features on the track. The features could be the grandstands, the features could be the boundaries of the track, a lamppost, a tree. They're all features which are unique to where you are. And so based on these features and based on determining how you are moving with relative to these features, you can figure a lot of things about where you are in the world, similar to how by looking at the stars, you could figure out where the ship is in the ocean. And this is called visual odometry. And the math is literally the same as what these sailors were doing 400 years ago to what we are doing today, but we have gotten way better and we have much more precise data, so we don't have to look at the stars when we are on the track. This is how we teach these algorithms in my class. Don't be afraid ever of doing hard things. That's my biggest advice, whether it's academic or otherwise. If you think about it, most people will give up when they encounter something very difficult. So have the courage of persevering through when you hit a roadblock. When something is extremely difficult, it could be difficult because you haven't spent enough time, or you just are not immersed enough. Because I am a believer that no subject whatsoever is boring enough for you to not get excited. It's just a function of how excited you can be, how inspired you can be, and that spark just goes off. That okay, I want to learn this. Never be afraid of failures is another piece of advice. We fail on a daily basis here, okay? We are at the frontier of research. I'm telling you, every time we go on the track, 5 out of 10 things would fail. And it's very easy to throw the arms in the air and call it quits, but that's not how we think. That's not how we approach research and challenges anyway. So for us, we see failure as a way to, we have discovered a new starting point from where we can make progress. So it's not so much that, oh, we don't know how to do this. It's always that, oh, we just haven't figured it out yet. And I think that's the attitude which goes a long way. And then finally, my piece of advice, especially to young kids or students in school, don't get too crazy or obsessed about bad grades or good grades. Don't get caught up in that. I know this is not the advice parents would probably want to hear. People who have accomplished difficult tasks, Nobel laureates, people in medicine, not even in robotics necessarily. We never ask them what were your grades in school, right? So they have accomplished what they have accomplished because at some point they encountered hard challenges and they did not give up. And that's why they are famous. They made a breakthrough where others have failed. Grades are a good proxy for the amount of hard work you have put in your academic curriculum, so you shouldn't neglect them, but you shouldn't treat them as the gold standard for learning. This is a very exciting time to be involved in autonomy and artificial intelligence. It's becoming a part of our daily lives, and the next generation of students who get into STEM and related fields, I think they will go on to do even bigger things. I mean, already I'm very proud of my students who have been toiling away on this challenge for 2 years. You have to keep an eye out on their careers, because I'm sure they will go on to do stellar things and become leaders in this space down the line. And that too is very fulfilling for me. To see my students being successful is really what I'm in it for at the end of the day.